What's up, guys? Today I just wanted to post a video. Um, just post a video of my testimony and how I came to realize that Jesus Christ is Lord and that God really exists. This isn't exactly easy for me. I'm not used to talking on a camera, being recorded or anything. But basically, I just wanted to kind of give my story and how I got to where I am now, to how I'm living right now. And I think, if you guys don't, whether you do believe in God or you don't believe in God, or however you look at spirituality and religion, I think that it will be interesting to hear this story, this testimony. So first, I want to say that since a kid, I've always been really free, really open-minded. I've always been kind of like a wild child. just did all types of different stuff. Never was really isolated or secluded to one type of life, if you want to say. Like, I never really was into just one thing. I mean, I've always been into like art and always been into music really heavy and all that creative kind of lifestyle. But I also, I like doing things like going and running outside, playing with my friends. I liked playing sports, like going out and playing football or whatever, playing basketball, soccer. I mean, I never really got good at any of that stuff because my main focus was always drawing. And yeah, I mean, I was always known in school for being like really creative with drawing, and not to boast or anything. I'm just kind of saying, that's just always who I've been. But as I got older, me being free-minded, me being open-minded like that, and just kind of thinking I could just do whatever I want, it just led me to kind of go in all types of different directions. And like when I was 14, I started smoking weed really heavy, just kind of blowing it down all the time. Like every day was 420, you could say, I guess. But yeah, basically from ages 14, basically at the end of middle school, the summer right after middle school, all throughout high school, up until just a few months ago, I was the type of person that you could call a stoner. Like I was smoking constantly, dude. I cannot go a week without smoking weed. I don't know if there's any weeks that I went in those, I want to say almost 7 years of smoking weed. There's some days where I'd get with my friends and we put all our money we could get, and we could, let's just say it was a lot. And I also got into psychedelic drugs, and I've dibbled and dabbled with other things too. Definitely, I never really tried to go too hard with it because growing up, I had older role models in my life that got involved in harder stuff, and I saw that the route that took them. I saw the road that went down, and I didn't want none of it. I already knew how it was going to end up, and I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to put myself in that situation necessarily. Everybody goes through different things. Everybody takes their own spiritual walk in life. So I'm not judging anybody by any means. And anybody who's going through any type of addiction can overcome it. I know they can. It's the truth. All you got to do is strive. You got to push for it. You got to want it every single day. You got to realize truly what it's doing to you and really push forward. I mean, I know that it's not easy for, some people with certain drugs, and, it's certainly something you got to overcome. But basically, I would get into psychedelic drugs. Like when I was like 15, I got into doing acid. I'm not even going to say LSD because who knows what they put on it nowadays. You just put a tab on your tongue and you're tripping, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I was into doing acid. First time I did acid, I was I was going off the roof, dude. Like, I was, I thought it was fun. Like, I could literally see reality, like, shift in front of me, and I was just living in this little fantasy land, I liked it because just the things I had gone through growing up, it just really was kind of like an escape of reality for me. Like, I didn't have to think about any of my problems. I didn't have to think about doing good in school or anything. I could just take a drug and I could be completely in Wonderland for like, at least like, I don't know, like 12 hours or something like that. And, I went from doing acid to doing mushrooms, and that opened gates to do other things as well. Like I pop pills sometimes, and I never got addicted to any of that stuff. I always knew that if I do it too much, that it's gonna grab hold of me and I'm gonna become an addict. And so I didn't get involved in it. I would just dibble and dabble in certain things like that. But weed, I was addicted straight up. I don't care what anybody says, dude. Marijuana is addictive. Straight up. They could try to say it's not a drug. You're not addicted. That's a load of crap, because straight up, everybody that smokes weed, they feel like most of them feel like they need it every day. I mean, they truly are addicted to it. I mean, I was there. I'm not speaking off of something like being a hypocrite. I'm telling you from experience, dude. I was there. I was smoking blunts after blunts every single day. Wake up, want to smoke. Before I would eat something, I would need to smoke. If I wanted to go to a movie, I would want to smoke. Like, it turned into just like taking control of my life. I couldn't enjoy anything without having to get high. And, especially the weed nowadays, it's way more potent than the natural cannabis people were smoking even like a decade ago. Even a decade, I want to say it was still pretty strong then, but let's be real, dude. This stuff's getting so strong. It's getting so addictive, becoming so crucial in society, man. Everybody thinks it's okay to just smoke weed whenever they want. They're driving, smoking. I caught an OWI from driving and smoking weed. And it wasn't even my fault. I didn't even cause an accident. But, after I had been hit, I didn't react properly. I had slower reaction because I was super high. I was high as a kite. And, anyway, I'm not gonna dwell on that too much. I smoked a lot of weed, and up until even this year, I was smoking weed all the time. I found myself going nowhere in life. I was still living with my mom 2 years, after I had graduated high school. Nowadays, I graduated in 2017, and I would never be here. It's not like I would just sit around and do nothing all the time. I was always gone. I was working a lot, even though I would job hop like more than anybody I even know. I would have a new job like every single month. But I would always be working, going out with friends, just doing, you know, mostly staying high and just not doing much with my life, working to get high and eat food and buy clothes and just stupid stuff, pointless, meaningless stuff. And you know, it didn't matter to me. Like, deep down I was depressed. Deep down I knew that it was something that I was lacking, that I wasn't satisfied with my life, and that I knew that I wasn't going anywhere. But it's like I just was addicted. Like, I didn't have any reason to quit. I didn't have any reason to quit. I didn't have any type of motivation to quit. I thought, well, I could get a job and smoke weed. I can go to school, smoke weed. I can do whatever. Like, I did take a semester in college. Granted, I didn't take it seriously. I still passed, but barely. And I'm not, the type of person that struggles with learning or anything. It's just that I didn't care. I wasn't focused. It didn't matter to me, even though I was paying my own money, grants, loans. Like, I just didn't really care about my life. I just really only cared about getting high all the time. And, I didn't have my priorities straight at all. Everything was messy for me, like, straight up. Everything was completely messy. And so basically this past year, man, May came around, and me and somebody that I had gone to high school with, we were both like, we used to kick it. Okay, we known each other since middle school. We were on the same like sports team, and we used to be good friends. And as time goes on with school, and everybody knows how that goes, that's been through it. You got certain friends that you guys split up, and then you make new friends, and it's just that maturity. Everybody does it. Everybody grows apart. And that's kind of how it was. Like, we didn't have any type of problem with each other, at all. And we, when we would talk, like, it wouldn't be, it would be just like kind of catching up or whatever. We were still cool, still had that kind of connection, but we kept a distance from each other. This person had their group, I had my group, and really it was like we just kind of came together, like divine intervention. Like, we both like ended up speaking again here 2 years after we graduate high school, and we both are coming to this realization that there's something weird going on. Like God was calling both of us to I don't even know how to explain it. I can't even tell you really exactly what happened. We found ourselves on the phone, just like both coming to these realizations and these conclusions, and having this feeling that something bigger was going on, that there was something bigger out there. And really, man, like, they ended up going away, and they ended up having to go off, and me, I just continued to do my thing. Like, I'll say, when I went through that, and when I started realizing like whoa, like, there's something, like, God, like, whoa, I didn't know nothing about the Bible. I didn't know anything about Jesus Christ. I did not grow up in religion. There'd be times when I pray, like, if there was bad things going on in my life, me and my family, like me and my mom we would pray and stuff, but we didn't know who we were praying to, really. We didn't know anything about Jesus. We didn't know anything about the Bible. We didn't go to church. I've been to church like probably a total of 2 or 3 times in my whole life. Like, seriously, I did not grow up with religion, dude. My whole childhood was like so wild, like, just free, like, just, you know what I mean? We were just rambunctious kids and always just did whatever. We didn't have any type of structure, even though my mom, she was, she did everything she could, and she definitely made sure that we were always fed, sheltered, and made sure that we were clothed. And even more than that, she did a lot of stuff for us. I love my mom. She's definitely been a huge blessing in my life. I can never thank her enough for that. But we didn't have any type of structure. We didn't have really a set of rules. We had a, like, I'd say we had a certain set of morals as to who we were. We weren't terrible, evil, like the most evil people, I want to say, because that kind of can go on your own perspective, terrible, whatever. But we weren't the most evil people. We didn't go out seeking to hurt people or anything. We mostly just we just didn't have rules. We lived the way we wanted to. And so for like a week, when I started coming to this conclusion that God was there's something strange about what's going on, and God is like calling out to me, like making an appearance. It was really strange. And it's not like anything big spiritual happened in particular, like nothing supernatural happened in particular, but it was more of just like this feeling, like this feeling that there's something big going on. And for like a week, I just told myself, like, I'm done smoking weed, and I'm trying to, like, I'm like, was kind of about God. And then I fell back into it. I didn't have any type of structure. Didn't read. I know I keep saying that. Sorry, but I didn't read the Bible or anything, so I didn't have any type of structure. And basically, like, I started working all the time, and I was working for this carnival. I had been working for a carnival basically the whole summer, and me, like, I didn't like being employed by a job on paper. I like doing my own thing. So my mom's friend owned a carnival, and I would help out. I wasn't necessarily like an employee there. I would just help out and do things on the side, and make a little extra, and just kind of live off that and do my thing with that. And I would pray and stuff. Like, I would pray for certain blessings in my life, to get certain things. I'm not gonna lie, I was on a little bit of the edge. I was doing edgy things, you know what I mean? I wasn't doing playing life by the rules, following laws, none of that. I was a little on the edge, and I'm not gonna go too much into that. But one time I remember, I had gotten some mushrooms. This was this past year. I had gotten some mushrooms, and I wanted to take them. And I took them, and I was with somebody I used to hang out with, and they told me, that they're talking to this girl that's a witch. And me, I was like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, I was like, that stuff ain't real. Like, he's like, no, she's a witch. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say, And, we ended up hanging out with her and her friend, and we were tripping, and she starts telling me all this stuff about zodiacs and signs. And I didn't know zodiacs and signs were like connected to witchcraft. I didn't know that. I didn't know that witches and stuff studied signs, and I didn't know that there was a correlation. I didn't know that at all. I had no idea what horoscopes were about. I knew that a lot of people followed them. They would read their daily horoscope, and I knew it was like a rising trend, especially in my generation. I mean, I didn't know anything about zodiacs, and before this even happened, I even got this tattoo on my hand. I even got this tattoo because I thought it was cool, I just thought it was cool. Like, I didn't really know anything about zodiacs or anything. I just it's kind of like, oh, like this is me, like this is my thing. And so she starts telling me about signs and stuff. And after this night, I had tripped, and this was like really just the things she was saying were like, I was like just captivated. I'm like, whoa, like, you know, she's like knows my personality almost, and I'm like, this is strange. And I got, after that night, dude, I was captivated by zodiacs and signs. I wanted to learn all about it. I wanted to learn all about what signs I was compatible with as far as relationships with women, as far as friend groups. I wanted to do like, I wanted to network, you know what I mean, with these signs. I wanted to really get into it. And everywhere I was going, I was meeting people out in public, like, you know what I mean? Just, I would be with a group of friends or whatever, and we would just go up to some people, you know, just chilling, just trying to kick it or whatever. And you know, I would just always ask people, like every new person I would meet in my life, I would be like, you know, what's your sign? I was trying to find out about them and how I go with them and how our signs are compatible. I was trying to like connect the dots, like, you know, play mind games and stuff. Not necessarily that I had a negative agenda, because, you know, it wasn't like that for the most part. It wasn't like I was out here trying to trick people, like trying to get in their heads or anything, you know, at least not that. That's not what I knew I was doing. At least I almost like fell into this trap with it. And a lot of people don't know about zodiacs and know that horoscopes are affiliated with witchcraft. A lot of people really don't know that. And it is. You can do your research, man. It's pagan. It's satanic. The people that do witchcraft, they follow star signs. And, you know, people that have Gnostic beliefs, Masonry, whatever you want to call it, all the little branches of Satanism. And it came to a time I would do my little thing. I would go out to all the spots, because, you know, carnivals travel. I would do my little thing and kind of just go to every spot. I had saved up enough money throughout the summer to buy myself a car. So I had bought a car, you know, just was having fun. Just, you know, being 20 years old, just driving wherever I wanted, smoking, drinking from time to time, just kicking it, just whatever, you know what I mean, doing my thing. And I met this person at the carnival, and I remember, like, every person I would ask about signs, like, they never had the approach like this person did. They never had or I should say reaction. They never had the reaction like this person did. Usually they would just freely tell me, like, oh, this is my sign, like, whatever. We would get to talking about it. They would either know a lot about it or not know, or whatever, you know what I mean? And it would just be like a little thing. And that's what I thought it was. I didn't know too much about it. I just was getting into it, you know, just blindly diving into waters I didn't know what was under. Waters where I didn't know what was beneath, if you want to put it like that. And this person, I asked him, like, you're like, what's your sign? And they're like, automatically, it's like this defensiveness. Like, they're like, well, why does it matter? And I'm just like, what do you mean, bro? Like, I'm just asking you, like, you know, I was just trying to find out how their personality was and trying to find out about them. You know, I had this evilness to me, man, like this weird, it's like creepy. It really is. Now that I look back on it, it's like this, like I had this creepiness to me, trying to find out about them and stuff. Like, really, I should have just been cool and just not even worried about that at all, and just, you know what I mean, just been cool, friendly. But I was trying to like find out about them, and they're like, well, why does that matter? Like, what do you want to know for? And needless to say, we got into a little argument about it, and I ended up telling him, like, it's good, you know, like, it's cool, like, I just want to talk to you. I'll just leave you alone, man. Leave it as it be, whatever. And we were working at the same carnival, so I walked away from him, and the person that came up to me, and he had came up like, hey man, like I'm sorry. He tried to give me a hug, and I was like I'm good, dude. Like it's all good, because I thought they were trying to kind of push me off, like, or trying to. I just didn't. It was just like this difference going on. This I had like a resistance to them now because I didn't know that why they were so defensive about it, and I thought that they were blowing it out of proportion. So I was like, dude, like you're tripping. I'm not gonna worry about that. Whatever, just leave me alone. And they tried to come give me a hug. I said, nah, I'm good. And the next day, the person that came up to me before work, before we were supposed to be out and ready, to, for the carnival the festival, and they had told me like just walked up to me straight up like, dude, like told me his sign, and I'm like, oh okay. I'm like, was that so hard, like what up? And he just told me like, like I don't think that stuff matters. Like I really don't follow that, man. He's like, I'm not into that. And he's like, can you just give me a hug? And still I was like, dude, it's all right, bro. Like I don't gotta hug you, it's okay, we're cool. And he's just like, come on man, like just give me a hug. And I'm like, all right, I give him a hug or whatever, and we're cool. Now we got this kind of like friendship. And like I got to talking with him and stuff, and it's not like we became best of friends right away or we clicked so much. It was more of like now we had like common ground. We didn't have a problem or anything, and I understood that he didn't want to talk about that stuff. I was still into it. For sure. Still trying to learn all this stuff about it, all deep into it, intertwined with it, and I ended up I was hanging out with people that I would just be hanging out with people, just whoever. It wasn't like people that I really knew. It was like just people that I met along, just hanging out as a teenager. Because, like I said, I've always been free. I've always been really open minded. So I've always met all types of different people. And I was just kicking it with whoever, kind of. And I ended up coming back to the city after that weekend. Coming back to the city I was living in, and there was this situation that had happened, and it really brought out the true colors of the people around me, and how they felt about me, and where we kind of stood. I'm not bagging anybody for sure. If this person were to be watching this, I'm not sitting here talking bad about you. I'm just telling the truth, plain how it is. I had a realization of what was really kind of going on, and I didn't like it. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't my thing. So I isolated myself. I stopped hanging out with people, started ignoring them, and I just kind of was thinking to myself, like, man, like I've been a jerk. Like when when you get by yourself, you start thinking. That's what was going on with me. Like I just was thinking, like, wow, I've been a jerk to people. Like I didn't really even. I started caring about just money, material things. I stopped valuing how people's feelings around me. I was being really insensitive, and just a jerk, man. Now that I look back on it, it's just sad, And I'm like, you know what? This next weekend, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go by myself. Cause I used to bring people every weekend. I would bring like a friend with me, just so I wouldn't be alone, and I had somebody to smoke with, or whatever. And I'm like, I'm gonna go, by myself, and just be myself, and try to make it right. And when I went, I was by myself and stuff, and they were staying at this shop this shop that the carnival owns, and they're like where that's every carnival is out of a certain city or a certain town, and this carnival was out of this town, and they were doing this festival that wasn't far from this little town. So this little town, all the workers would go back to the shop, to their little mechanic shop or whatever, where they'd keep rides, and they would keep vehicles and stuff, and they were going back there every night to sleep. And there's stories about it being haunted, about there being like supernatural things, like people seeing certain things, like orbs, or like shadows, or just random stuff, being followed, hearing things, voices, whatever. And I knew that was like a, it was, I didn't doubt it, that something weird would be going on with that. I didn't doubt it at all. But I was kind of like careless about it in a way. I was sleeping in my car at the time, I'm not going to lie to you. And when I would sleep in my car there, parked at that shop, I was just feeling like something was watching me. Like just really strange vibes. Like something weird is going on. Like something's seriously watching me. And it was just, I'm getting the heebie-jeebies even talking about it, because it was that freaky. And I remember, I went, as I'm here this weekend, right? Because the festival lasts like a whole weekend, like Thursday through Sunday or something. And I'm talking to this guy that was trying to give me a hug. And he's telling me like, like, you're searching for something. Because I was telling him like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry how I treated you. I was a jerk, and I'm really just trying to focus on myself and get myself straight, and just stopped hanging out with certain people, man. And I'm just sorry. And he's like, it's all right. He forgave me, and he started telling me like, you're searching for something. He was like, you're searching. And I didn't know what that meant. Like, I was like, what do you mean? Like, I kind of was just like confused at certain things he would say to me. Like, he had a room, like, kind of mysterious vibe to it. And he ended up telling me, he was like, something's gonna hit you. And he was like, you don't even know what it is. He was like, something is gonna hit you. And I remember thinking, like, what is he talking about? Like, I looked at him like he was crazy. I'm just like, okay, like whatever, man. Like, all right. And he was just giving me this like sure promise that something was gonna happen to me. And I remember just kind of blowing it off, like, I don't know what he's talking about, but whatever, That night, we drove back. In fact, I gave him a ride in my car too this night. And we drove back to the shop to go to sleep. It was probably around 12:30 when we got there. And I hung out for like an hour. So it was around like 1:30, 1:45. I was high. And before I had even went to my car to go to sleep, I don't know what came over me. Because, dude, the whole time I'm taking showers at this place, I'm going to sleep, I'm feeling weird, like something is seriously watching me. Like, I'm getting this strange vibe. And I'm like, for some reason, I had went up to somebody. And I don't normally try to, like, scare people. I don't normally try to, like, freak people out. I'm not that type of person to, like, mess with people. But I went up to this guy, and I'm like, it's haunted out here. Trying to scare him almost, like it's haunted out here. And right after I said that, I'm like, why did I just say that? I'm like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. And I felt at that point I felt vulnerable to whatever was around us, whatever was around this place. I was like, since I just said that, something's gonna mess with me. Like something weird's gonna happen. And I began to get this fear, this growing fear. And it's pitch black. I'm talking about, dude, we're surrounded by a cornfield in the middle of like nowhere, out in the middle of like deep Illinois. And I'm like, I got high or whatever, and I went back to my car. And when I went back to my car to go to sleep, I felt strange. Like I felt like something was waiting for me to go and be alone, away from people. So I got in my car and I'm just on YouTube or whatever, just sitting up with my phone. And I remember at the corner of my eye, feeling like something was right there watching me, like just weird, like this weird feeling. And at the time, I couldn't pray, because I wasn't even thinking about God. I was purely thinking about myself all the time, how I could better myself. What can I do for me? Me. Because I was following signs and always thinking about what is my horoscope gonna be for today. I was just like purely selfish and alone without God. You know what I mean? And so I'm just sitting there like I couldn't even pray. I'm in my conscious like something is watching me. Like, but then I'm trying to argue with myself like, nah, I'm tripping. I'm good. And then it's like, it's like, no, like you're not tripping. Like, there's something weird going on, like this gut feeling. And I started to get scared, dude. Like my heart started beating. I started sweating. I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna just try to go to sleep. So I laid back, put my seat all the way back and just kind of had my eyes like this. Like they weren't closed, but I was so tired. I had worked like all day. I was beat. So I was like just trying to go to sleep. Right when I shut my eyes to fall asleep, I heard this sound, the only thing I can compare it to, and it was like right by my ear, like almost right outside my car. There was nobody around me. It was nothing but abandoned vehicles, almost like just vehicles that are not in use anymore, in a cornfield right in front of my car. And I remember just hearing this like sound of a light bulb popping. That's the only thing I can compare it to. It's just like out of thin air, just a. And I remember just open my eyes right away. Like my heart started beating. I'm like, dude, did I just hear that? Like, I'm like, no, I just heard that. You know what I mean? Like, that was real. And I'm like, dude, I'm like freaking out at this point. Like, because I'm feeling like someone's watching me. Then I'm about to go to sleep and I hear this sound. I'm like, what is going on, dude? And so now I put the blanket over my face. I'm scared. I'm terrified at this point, but I'm still just trying to suck it up and go to sleep. I put a blanket over my face and I close my eyes completely shut. Literally, I have a blanket over my face and my eyes are completely shut, closed. And right when I'm about to fall asleep again, I hear the same noise. And through my eyelids and through this blanket, I see an explosion of green orbs. Like right in front of me, dude. I opened my eyes and I was like sitting there freaking out. Like couldn't even move. I'm just like just sitting there, like not even trying to breathe, just like feeling like something is just right there with me, trying to just scare the crap out of me, dude. And something in my mind, in my heart, spirit somewhere was telling me like go, like a million miles a second, like go, like right now, go. And dude, I took my keys and I'm shaking and I put it in my ignition. And I remember pulling out. It was like kind of like a tight squeeze too. And I remember pulling out, not trying to hit anything, just like pulling out, feeling like something was sitting there just watching me pull out. I was so freaked out, dude. There was like no like road lights or anything. There was no road lights. Um like it was completely in the middle of nowhere on this dark road, and the only thing that was had light was my headlights. And I remember tripping, like I'm feeling like something is still in my car with me. Like I'm feeling like something's followed me as I'm leaving. Like I'm barely even looking at the road. I'm like looking in my car to see if I'm alone. Like I could have, gotten into a car accident. Like that's how serious it was. I was like seriously like freaking out. The fear that I had in me was something that I never want to experience again. How serious it was, how fearful I really was. Man, I was tripping, dude. I remember calling my mom. It was like 2 in the morning at this time. Remember I said I kicked it for like an hour or so. It was like 1:45 around the time this happened. It's around 2 when I call my mom out of her sleep, and she works at like 5 in the morning. Or gets up for work at like 5 in the morning. And I called her, and I'm like shaking, stuttering. I'm like telling her what just happened, and I'm like, can you please just stay on the phone with me? Like I'm tripping. And, I'm not even ashamed to say it either. Like, oh, you're 20 years old, you called your mom. Like, yeah, I called my mom. Like, come on, I don't care. I could be 30 something. If my mom's still alive, and if I'm tripping, I need advice or something, I'm calling her. You know, that's just how me and my family are. That's we got this open love for each other no matter what. And I'm calling my mom like mom, like this. She's she's been through some supernatural like paranormal stuff before, so she understood, and she's like, no, she's like, I get it. um she's like, you're okay. She's like, like God is with you, like you're all right. And she starts talking about God, and immediately like I start feeling comforted just by this, like the sound of her like talking about God, just like the spirit of it, of her talking about God and how he's protecting me. I felt just comforted like right there. And I went like 20-30 minutes away to go to a Walmart parking lot, because you can stay in a Walmart parking lot 24 hours, and I slept there. I don't care, you can call me crazy, whatever. I slept in a Walmart parking lot in my car. And I just stayed there on the phone with my mom for a few hours, just talking to her, and just we just telling her like, wow, like I've just completely forgot about God. Like just realizing that it was almost like, yes, this was supernatural. Yes, there was some type of evil spirit that was trying to torture me, put fear in me, and mess with me, manifest itself, do whatever. I don't know what its purpose was. I know it was evil, but it was more of like a wake up call. It was more of a wake up call that I was pushing God out of my life, and I was becoming selfish, ignorant, that I was just doing all the wrong things. And all I can say really is that God, he can do anything. He has power over all spirits. He has authority over all spirits. And at the time, like I had no idea how God, Jesus Christ, the Bible, I had no idea how spiritual really that was. I had no idea whatsoever. I was exposed to Jesus Christ at a young age, not even by my family. I watched Passion of the Christ by myself. Like I don't know how I found it. Like I just remember my mom opening up my bedroom door and seeing me crying because they're crucifying Jesus. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, how did you find this? Like, you know, she didn't like stop me from watching it. She let me keep watching it, but I was like, it's just crazy to me. I don't even remember how I found that movie or what happened. I just remember I watched the movie. I had the movie and I watched it. And so basically, like, I didn't really know about Jesus and how real Jesus was or anything. It was just like kind of like a movie to me, to be honest. It was more of like just a movie and like a old story or something. It wasn't like as spiritual. I didn't know it was as spiritual as it really is, because it really is. Anyway, I'm gonna get to that. So I went back after this happened, you know, because I was sleeping in this Walmart parking lot every night, but I was still like going to work and going to driving to this city to go to work, and I went to work and I straight up went back to this guy, and I'm like, bro, why did you say that something was gonna hit me? I'm like, did you know what was gonna happen to me, or did you just feel like saying that? And he was like, I think I just feel like, he's like, I think I just felt like saying that. He's like, why? Did something happen to you? And I'm like, bro, I was like, I'm gonna tell you later about it, because this was like before work. So after work, or like later in the night when everything kind of started to get dead, I went to go talk to him, and I'm like, bro, I'm like, told him about what happened, and he's like, yeah, dude. He was like, that's fear. And I was so confused. I'm like, you know, he kept just telling me about fear. And I'm just like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I was just so confused. Like, I wasn't saying that to him, but I was just so confused. And I could tell he could kind of tell that I was puzzled. And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, you gotta shake that fear off you, man. He's like, that's that fear, man. He's like, that's not good. You don't want to walk around with that. And I just remember telling him, like, you know, like, I don't, like, of course I'm, like, I don't get it, bro. Like, of course I'm scared. I just had some, like, super paranormal experience, like, not something I had never experienced. Like, it was intense, bro. You know, of course I'm scared. Like, I'm shaking. I'm feeling like someone's watching me, like, never left me. And, sorry. He's like, you want to say a prayer? And it's like, all right, I guess it couldn't hurt, you know what I mean? And he grabs my hand, and you know, we like close our, he's like, close his eyes, I close my eyes. We're standing, there's all these people walking by, and he just starts praying, like, not like no Hail Mary, not no memorized prayer, just a heartfelt prayer. Just this heartfelt prayer, like, just speaking straight from his heart out to Jesus Christ, out to the Lord. And I remember just right after he prayed, like, as he's praying, I'm just feeling this comfort. Like, I almost forgot, like about what happened. Like, I just felt this relief, dude. And he just asked me, he's like, you feel that? He's like, you feel that peace? And I'm like, yeah. Like, it really, there was like literally this bubble of peace around us, like this aura, this force field of peace. Like, nothing could come, and it was just this peace, man. I can't even explain how powerful it was. Like, I just stopped caring about what had happened, even though it was so like traumatizing to me. I had stopped caring about it. And that was what really got me on the hook to God and to Jesus Christ. And he just starts like telling me, like, I was still very confused about it all. And he starts telling me, like, yeah, you know, Jesus Christ is the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. You know, he's, you know, the God of gods. Like, he's the highest. He's the most high. And he just starts telling me all these stories and the experiences he had and stuff. And we became like, that kind of was like our thing now. Like, we kind of had like this, it went from just being a common ground and being at peace with each other and being cool, to now we had something that connected us. Like, you know, he like really helped me with the power of Christ. He really helped me, and he really stepped up and connected with me, you know, as a brother in Christ. And I just remember going home that weekend. Like, after that weekend, I remember going home, and I remember just feeling different. Like, I remember feeling like everything had just it started changing for me. Like, I was just steady thinking about Jesus. Like, I'm just steady thinking about, like, what is going on? Like, who is Jesus? You know, like, who is Jesus really? Like, I felt like I was like a 3-year-old or something, like, literally just wondering. You know how when you're like a kid and you're just wondering when someone tells you even the smallest thing, like someone's telling you about something that you know nothing about, and you're just so captivated and like you're so focused on it, it just remains in your thoughts all day, even when you're not having the conversation or when you're by yourself. You're just in your thoughts, you're thinking about it. And that was me. And I remember going back home, and I had this dream. It was more of like a really spiritual, like, it wasn't just like any other vision. It felt like I was really living in the dream. Like, my spirit was really there. And I was in like the spiritual realm, and I was on this bus, and all the seats were faced towards the back. And I remember looking back at the bus, like looking back at the road, and I remember this spirit had put his hand on my shoulder from behind me. He had put his hand on my shoulder, and I remember looking back without any hesitation whatsoever, and just like, I didn't even have to think about it. My spirit just spoke it, like, you know, I don't want anything to do with you because you're evil. I don't want you in my life anymore because you're evil. And it squinted, the spirit looked at me and squinted its eyes, and then it just faded away, like disappeared. And I remember waking up like right after that, directly and I remember just like, whoa, like, what just happened? Like, I'm tripping, dude. Like what is going on? And I remember that next weekend after that, I went back to the next spot that they were at, the carnival. And I went and I just went to the guy, and before I can even say anything, like, the way I had just walked up to him, he just was like, looked at me in my eyes, and he's like, dude, he was like, you got that spirit of fear off you. He was like, he just was like, could notice it right away. He was like, your eyes, man. He's like, they don't even look the same anymore. And he just started crying, like tears of joy, and just grabbed my hand. Like, I just grabbed his hand. I didn't even understand how real it was at the time. I didn't even understand what it all meant. I just remember like feeling good, feeling like yeah, like I felt stronger. I felt more bold, courageous, and just felt good, comforted, more peaceful. And you know, we just started talking. He was like, yeah, dude. He was like, I prayed for you. He was like, I had my sister pray for you, and I just, you know, they must have been praying pretty hard, because, you know, just like that, just changed my whole life. And since then, like, I just wanted to learn more and more about God, more and more about Jesus, because the power, the supernatural spiritual power, really made an appearance in my life. Like, I experienced it. It wasn't just like, you go to church and you get on your knees and you listen to a pastor. It was like a real personal experience, something that was completely real. And I just, man, like, I couldn't even understand it. I still don't completely understand it. I mean, it's just too real. But needless to say, like, at that point, I was trying to learn more and more about God and Jesus Christ, and just really going at it. And then I found out that zodiacs were satanic, involved in witchcraft, and it all made sense as to why I didn't have protection against evil spirits. And that because I wasn't protected by God, I wasn't being protected by God. I wasn't activating, the protection of God. Even though God, He's always watching all of us. He's always watching every single one of us, no matter what we think, no matter what religion we're into. It could be, even if the people that are doing witchcraft, the people that are doing all these sick, twisted, wicked things, because they are. And if you're out here doing witchcraft, God sees that. I hope you know that. He sees everything. He's watching all the time, everything you do. And He loves you. He really does. He loves everything because He's the creator. He's the creator of all. We're all His creation, whether you know it or not. Anyway, I started going through all types of experiences, man. I started going through all types of stuff. I got hit with so much supernatural within the past few months. I would be on the phone for hours. I would be recording on this phone for hours, telling you about all the experiences. But I'm just gonna keep this video short the way it is, and that's the beginning of how I came to God, how I came to Jesus Christ. I'm gonna be putting more on this page. I just wanted to give my testimony, and I just wanted to kind of introduce myself, and just let you guys know, like, the supernatural is very real. The truth of Jesus Christ is completely real. And He is the Lord of all. He sees everything. God bless you guys. Have a good night. Have a good day. Good morning. Whenever you choose to watch this. I pray that you are blessed in Jesus Christ's name. I pray that you are protected by God, and I pray that you come to realize that you don't have forever. One day, this is all going to end, this life on earth, and you're going to be faced with judgment, and you're going to be judged by every choice you made, and who you were, and how you acted. I'll pray for all of you. I love all of you in Christ. God bless you.